it is going to be fun when we stack our board and we look at all these guys. And I know you'll probably be wearing your orange T-shirt at that time with your Bronco T-shirt, looking for guys. And let's talk about looking for guys. This is a guy we've been looking to get on this show for a long time, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun in this conversation. We're going to spend a little time kind of unpacking his journey because it is really a unique one. And so I want to start this interview with Ozzy.
Oi, oi, oi.
I just would. Dude, I've been waiting to do that for a month. I'm telling you.
Too long. It's been about 10 years.
Yeah, it has been a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Adam Gotsis of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And he is a native Australian and one of the international players in the game. And a guy that, we have the International Pathway Program, and we've got the NFL Academy in London, and it's really grown. But you kind of did this whole gig on your own, my man.
Yeah, man. I think this was a bit before all that pathways and kind of that stuff. But yeah, it's been a journey, man. I tell you, and I had to kind of figure it all out myself. So, I was fortunate enough to run into some great coaches along the way. I ran into you. I had a couple back home. I'll give them a quick shout out. Coach Paul Manera, Coach John Layton, who you've been and you've seen around the game over the years. So it's a process, but it was well worth it, and it's been a journey. So excited to be where I'm at now.
All right, I want to work this interview in 10-minute segments, right? So let's talk about the Australian part of this. And what fascinated me, bro, the other day when we were talking, and I said, how did it happen that you found football? And you said your mom got a flyer from some program and brought it home and said, hey, you might like this? Is that how you got started?
Not even from a program, man. So I was, I grew up in Australia playing Aussie rules, playing basketball, rugby, soccer, anything I could get my hands on. I just love sport. When I was about 16, I kind of realized that the way I was growing didn't really suit that Aussie rules kind of build anymore. So I was kind of looking to take maybe rugby as the next step as my athletic career. During that time, man, my mum was on the internet kind of looking up, local teams and stuff like that. And she came across like this gridiron, flyer. And, she knew that me and my brother played a bit of Madden on the Xbox and stuff. And she was like, you should give this a shot. You like the game. And, yeah, the rest is kind of history. We went down there. And I remember the first day I went down there, it was kind of the way in Australia it is. It's like under 14s to under 19s is all in one age group. And I'm sitting there in the car, 15 years old, and I see these 19-year-olds walking down there. And I'm like, damn, I don't know if this is for me. Like, I don't know if I want to even get out of the car. But for me, my brother was 19 at the time. He came down with me, so I kind of had my brother there playing, same team. And, yeah, from that moment, man, I kind of fell in love with the sport and kind of history.
All right. There were a couple of things I want to hit on, right? And in Australia, they call it gridiron. They don't call it football because you've got your own football, right?
We've got enough footballs, man. We got soccer, football. The rugby guys call their football. Aussie rules is football. So, yeah, we stick to gridiron in Australia.
All right. Now, let's talk Aussie rules because there are two things about Aussie rules I want you to clear up for me because I'm not, I'm the uninitiated. Number one, the two most distinctive things about Aussie rules football to me are, number one, the official who looks like he's in a jacket at doing chem lab, right? And when you score, what's the deal they do with the like they're shooting guns? What is that all about?
I have no idea where that came from, and I would advise them on some wardrobe things, but it's part of the game, man. I don't want to on no toes talking about that, but it's been part of the sport for years, man. It's funny, but speaking on Aussie rules, that was a big part of I think my success transferring to football. That's a sport that it involves running, tackling, taking angles, being able to track opponents and things like that, and quick thinking in spaces, and big guys being able to move. You're a big guy that's playing with 18 other smaller guys on the field, so you got to be able to keep up with them or you're not going to survive. So on that sport, when I transferred to American football, man, it was just like Aussie rules, just tackle them, get them on the ground. And I think that's been a big success in my career, is that chase and tackle part of my game.
Okay. Now, what about the shorts, bro?
Yeah, I don't know.
What is up with the Daisy Dukes you got to wear in that game?
These guys are, some of these guys are running, upwards of 10 miles, in a game. So I think it's probably something just to help a track star or something. They've got to be doing something out there. Limit the material. And they're running more than some soccer players. So it's a pretty intense game. But yeah, definitely some wardrobe stuff could be fixed up a bit.
All right. First time I go to Australia, I go down there to help Paul Monera and that group of coaches, and a guy named Coach Chapman.
Yep.
And it was really a unique situation because they brought we're up in Surfers Paradise, and there's I think it's an Olympic training facility there.
Yep.
And all the teams from around the country came by state, and they played. It was about 4 or 5 days of like they're playing every day.
Yeah.
And
that's our national tournament, our state tournament. So yeah, it's like a state championship. All the states put together a team, and we were up there, man. Yeah. Did
you play in that?
Yeah, I played in that. So that was my first time representing, Victoria, and that was kind of the point where, I was like, damn, this might be a bit more than just, running around in the park with the guys, And obviously I had the pleasure of running into you, and there's some coaches there with some experience, and having those conversations and listening to you speak and listening to the opportunities that lay ahead if you really want to commit and put in the work in this game. And some of those things that you were talking about really reside within me, and kind of suited to where I was in my path of life and my journey. And I held on to a couple of those tidbits and just went to work, and good things started happening after that, man.
All right, so here's my takeaway from that experience. Right, first of all, I can't even remember if we played 11 on 11. I don't think so, but it was. But you've got all the states of Australia represented in this one tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam, I don't know how many games the kids played in 5 days. It must have been at least a game a day. And I mean to tell you, one thing, if the NFL's listening to this, the one reason I think they are, and everybody we say, Australian players, what do you think about? Well, they're going to get a punter, right? But I'm going to tell you something. When I went to that tournament, dude, these are youth players, and it was like violent. I mean, guys were getting after each other. And I've been to tournaments in other countries, and it's like a pillow fight. But I mean, in Australia, you guys get after it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at a lot of the Aussies in sports here in America. One thing I think they pride themselves on is that tenacity, that effort, that heart, leave it all out there on the field. Underdog mentality, that kind of describes Australia. You look at all our Olympic teams, you look at all the guys that are representing Aussies in the basketball. You got guys like Paddy Mills, Matthew Dellavedova, these are Ben Simmons. These are all guys that have worked so hard to be in their position. And, we're a country of 25 million. So, when one guy succeeds, you got the whole country, behind you, supporting you as well. And, that's just part of it. I think when we were up there playing, we got these young guys that are fired up, love the game. It's all passion, it's all heart out there. And I think that was probably, I think after one of those games, I think it might have been the semifinal or the grand final or the championship. It was like, I remember there was we had 10 guys playing both ways. The whole,
it was nuts.
Injured. I think, we had our starting quarterback was hurt, the whole O-line. It was crazy, but I remember just being out there and playing with the guys, and it just felt like so much passion and love for the game from everyone up there. It was awesome, man.
Okay, all right. So you do, and you did it by yourself. Now Paul and John helped you, I know, but I remember talking to you guys when I was down there, and it was it was so far away from wherever, how the clearinghouse worked and all this, but you negotiated that by yourself. I mean, you basically did that on your own. Talk about that.
Yeah. So I remember, one of the things that you said that really caught in my mind was, if I want to get to college, I have to be cleared. I have to go through the NCAA and just get on their website, look at whatever the requirements are, you know, because I'm getting later. I think, heading into my junior year of high school at that point, and you know, we don't even use a GPA in Australia. So you're saying like GPA, SAT, shit like that, and I'm like, I've never even heard those terms. Like, what the hell's a GPA? You know, we don't use that stuff. So I remember after that tournament, you know, I went home and I emailed with Paul a few times, just trying to figure out what the hell the next step was, and then you know, I got onto the website and literally, I remember sitting there all night. You know, it's 11 p.m. Australia time, which is the time that the clearinghouse is open. So I'm sitting there on hold for an hour trying to talk to someone, to figure out questions, man. Just like, what paperwork do I need to get to you guys? How do I get it to you guys? Do you need scanned copies? Do you need mailed copies? Like, what is it, you know? And literally, I remember it was me, my mom, and we were just going through everything. I had to go back to my high school. By the time I figured all this stuff out, you know, I graduated high school. So it was going back to my high school, getting all my transcripts from 9th grade through, you know, junior year, senior year, scanning them all, sending them all, not even knowing like what the hell I'm sending, you know, if that even is the right paperwork, because our whole curriculum's different, you know. So by the time that all happened, man, it was just like, I'm committed to this thing, you know. I'm not doing this thing just to see if I can get eligible. So, you know, once I started doing that clearinghouse stuff, the way I trained, the way I mentally prepared myself, I told myself, like, I'm going to America, you know, I'm going to go do this. You know, all my friends in high school looking at me like I'm crazy. You know, this kid from Australia that, you know, plays gridiron on the weekends is going to go get a scholarship, you know. But I just kept telling myself every day, and I just kept putting in the work, and I just knew, like, if you keep consistently putting in that stuff and that effort and stay committed to it, something's going to happen. You know, someone's going to bite, someone's going to take a chance on you, you know. So
all right. So I want to throw this out to the listeners and the viewers. If you're a young kid who is trying to make this same journey, then you got a great opportunity to talk to Adam right now and throw a question. If you're a dad with a son, or, you know, again, because it is so amazing. And we got a question right here that we're going to get to later, because it's part of his journey. Now, Paul Manera, who played college football at the University of Hawaii, and it's amazing how small the football world is, played at a time when Dick Tomey was the head coach at Hawaii, and their offensive coordinator was a guy named Paul Johnson. And Paul Johnson just happened to be the head coach at Georgia Tech. And they called Paul looking for a punter, and they got you. Yeah,
pretty much, man. That's kind of how it works. But, you know, that just shows the bonds that football creates, you know, the trust in individuals and, you know, those relationships. You know, this guy, Paul Manera, my coach, played, you know, back in the late 80s, early 90s with Coach Johnson. And, you know, it'd been 20 years since I'm sure they'd probably had a real conversation and sat down or whatever. But, you know, obviously Coach Johnson trusted this guy and saw how he worked when he was in the program. And, you know, that's a big hats off to Paul. And that's, you know, and then for Paul to, you know, put me in touch with that program, that's what the sport's about, man. I think, you know, he's one of those pioneers of the sports that's gone, experienced, you know, some success in it, and, you know, some experiences that not a lot of guys have, and he's given it all back to Australia and gridiron in Australia. You know, he loves the kids and he loves helping all these kids live a dream out. So big hats off to him. But yeah, it's such a small world, and, you know, I ended up getting to Georgia Tech, and, you know, they were still running the wing tee that they were running in Hawaii 30 years ago. And, you know, it's awesome, man. It's just awesome to see how that kind of goes, you know.
All right. Now, the guy that was Paul's position coach at Hawaii, Mike Seawack, coveted you as an offensive lineman, but he never got to get you because you had, what, you had 5 defensive linemen on the roster when you show up at Georgia Tech?
Yeah. So literally, I mean, I think I was 19 in Australia, and I was training as an offensive tackle. All my stuff was offensive tackle, and that's what I was trying to get recruited as. I could long snap a bit, I could play some DN, but offensive tackle was, I think, where I was best fit for the college system. So, you know, I was planning on being a triple option offensive tackle, and then I kind of got there, and they were like, "Look, you know, we've only got 5, you know, guys returning, you know, this year, so the rest are all going to be incoming freshmen." And you know, they kind of recruited me as an athlete at that point, and we're kind of like, we'll see what best suits you. So for me, you know, I went out there. I remember the first day of training camp, man. I got there the day before training camp started, freshman year. You know, all the freshmen had been there all summer working out with the guys, and this kid from Australia shows up, I've got all my bags. I'm living in the hotel. And I remember that first day we go out there and I trip on the bag. We're doing fast bags and I fucking trip on the bags, eat it. And I'm like, damn, this couldn't start like any worse, you know? For real, it was like it was so embarrassing, man. But I just told myself, like, you know, just keep working. And you know, 2-3 weeks later, I was rolling with the ones, and then I was playing as a true freshman. And it's just like, it's crazy how quick things can change, and it's a lot of perspective and how you handle adversity. And you know, for me, that was a big part of adversity. I got there, and all these guys are looking at me like, "Who the fuck's this guy?" And you know, and this guy's on the bags, you know, whatever. And it's just like, it's so cool how far, you know, you can turn if you just put your mind to some stuff. So.
All right, now it just dawned on me. Who did you play your first college game against?
I was Virginia Tech Monday night. I think it was Labor Day weekend, so it was season opener.
All right. Frank Beamer's Virginia Tech, one of the best teams in the country, right? On Monday night, national television. 2 years after you played for the Victoria State team in that little tournament, you're you're out there starting against Virginia Tech. Bro, do you realize how like that's Hollywood wouldn't write that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was, and it all happened so quick that it's hard to kind of like soak that in. You know, everything's happening so quick in the football world that, like, literally, I remember pulling up in the buses. I remember the stadium packed. You know, they come out to the Sandman, everything's going crazy. You know, it was like probably one of those times where I'm sitting there, I've got the chills, you've got that ringing in the ear, you can't even hear anything, and you're like, where the hell am I? You know? But then all of a sudden you get that first snap out of the way, and it's like football. You're in the game. You don't even notice the crowd. You don't notice nothing. You're so locked in on that, you know, that game. But yeah, man, it's unreal. It's such a surreal experience, man.
All right, so you go on and you're a great player at Georgia Tech, and the Broncos win a Super Bowl, and comes draft day, and all of a sudden, with the second pick, the Broncos take Adam Gotsis, defensive lineman, Georgia Tech. Were you shocked?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I was shocked. I kind of knew all the work I'd put in, so I knew, you know, something good was coming. And, you know, any opportunity for me was exactly what I wanted. You know, whether I was drafted, undrafted free agent, get a workout, that's all I wanted. It was kind of a tough spot, though. I was coming off the ACL, so, you know, talking with my agents and stuff, they didn't really know where teams were putting me just because of the injury. And, you know, I felt like I had a great senior season, and, you know, what I was able to live with was I left it all out there on the tape, you know. So regardless of what happened after I got injured, I knew that when teams turned on my tape, they're going to see a type of player that they want. So going through the draft process, I wasn't really too worried and nervous and stuff, because I knew, like, at the end of the day, my tape's going to speak for itself. And that's what they're going to critique you off at all times. You know, they don't, you know, if you're a good person, a bad person, it doesn't matter. It's what are you doing on the field? So kind of going through that process, but when I got that phone call, man, I was so excited. And, you know, it was just like, these guys are the Super Bowl champs. Let's get this shit going. And, you know, I can't wait to get back healthy and get out there, man. And it, you know, it was crazy 4 years in Denver, that's for sure.
All right, now leading up to that, because I want you to kind of give our listeners the insight, because we're going to pull back the curtain a little bit. You have a dominating senior year, right? There's no question. Great, you know, size, speed, you know, energy, play hard, all the stuff. I mean, you check all the boxes. Then you tear up your knee. How much did that affect the way people looked at you or talked to you, or, you know, going into the thing? Because I have it on good notice that Bill Kolar got on the desk for you, the D-line coach that you had at Denver, and said, I want that kid. I know he's hurt, but I want that kid. I want that guy. Yeah,
I mean, you know, that's how I kind of felt still going through the combine process, going through, you know, team interviews and everything like that. I really felt like, you know, a lot of teams wanted me, a lot of teams liked me. You know, I'm a year older than guys that were in my class, just because the way I transferred from Australia and stuff. So I think I was a little more mature than some guys in that respect. And, I get there, I've got the torn up knee and stuff, and it was really hard to respond to, because you get on I end up getting to Denver, and they're coming off the Super Bowl, they're fucking roaring hot, they're ready to go back, and you're bringing in a guy that's meant to help that, and at that time they just got rid of Malik Jackson. He had just signed in Jacksonville, so that defensive end spot was open. They drafted me, I'm sure, to take that spot and play that role. But then, I get to Denver, and some of the rehab, it doesn't kind of go how I want, and I end up coming back about 7-8 months, which I think was a little early for me in that, and I really didn't feel like I got back to being me as a player through that season. I felt like I was kind of 85% making it work, trying to get it done, but in the NFL, these guys are real good players, and you're coming in, and if you're not playing well, you're going to get exposed out there. And I felt like there were some things that in my game I just hadn't got back from the injury, having time to work on that, having time to work on my craft. And unfortunately, that's just how the game goes. Your number's called, the team's relying on you to go out there and make plays, and that's what I tried to do. But that first year was a tough year, definitely.
So you fight through the first year, and then I think we got to be clear about this. You have to understand what the scheme the player is asked to play is, because in that scheme, you were never going to be a big sack guy. You were going to be a guy that was going to make plays on the line of scrimmage, grind that B gap, take that double team, and let Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and Shane Ray and all those edge guys make the sacks.
And that's kind of, I'd probably say even the last 5 years, definitely my 4 years in Denver, maybe not as much that last year, but definitely those first 3 years, it was like, hey, our 3 down linemen, you're here to stop the run first, second down. We've got 4 pass rushers that are coming in on third down to get sacks. Unless it's 3rd and 4 and you've got like a nickel or a dime package out there and you want to keep 2 big guys inside. Other than that, we've got our jet package, whatever you want to call it, where you've got Von, D. Ware, Shane Ray, Shaq Barrett, Dakota Watson. The list can go on of like guys that they got pass rushing and they're paying the pass rush. So, in a 3-4, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. They like having those edge guys on there rushing. But, coming off the Super Bowl, I kind of knew if they're going to keep a D lineman in the game, it's probably going to be D Wolf. On third down and stuff. You look at like his Super Bowl season, he had something like 28 hits or something on, just in the play. That was ridiculous, that defense in the playoffs. And, you had a lot of those guys coming back. So I knew in terms of structurally on the defense, there probably wasn't going to be much change, up front. So I had to come in there and, I'm a 4-3 D tackle, transferring to a 3-4 D tackle where it's a bit different. The techniques there, they want you playing different. And, that was something that I really struggled with in terms of coming off the injury, changing my game to fit the scheme. It was just something that, it felt like it took almost after that year to click. And I came back in 17 and 18. I felt like I had better years. Felt like I kind of found how to play that technique that they wanted. And then, it was kind of like just battling through, other injuries. I had another knee injury on the other knee, and then, a partial tear in the ACL that I already had repaired the year after. So it was just like, I'd get healthy, I'd be playing some good ball, but I'd still be playing banged up a lot of the time, And as we said the other day, I think this is the healthiest I've been in 5 years. So I'm feeling
okay. All right. So adversity strikes again, and obviously you feel like you need a change.
Yeah.
And you make the decision to go to Jacksonville. Why Jacksonville initially?
Yeah, initially, man, I'm sitting there, all the COVID stuff's happening. I'm rehabbing my ACL, last year. And, I told myself, I just want an opportunity to start fresh. I don't care where it is. I just want, to walk into a building and, not to have this like kind of eye on me at times. I felt like people just looked at me and just had this thought of me, and it's like, you don't really know me. We haven't sat down, had a conversation, things like that. So, I spoke to the GM at Jacksonville at the time, and, he called me and he, told me about how he had scouted me coming out of, the draft and stuff like that. And he he was kind of saying if you were a couple picks later and Denver didn't take you, we were going to take you at Jacksonville. And, when I think about that, I think about the scheme that they're running, that 4-3. I sometimes think that would have been a really good fit, for my type of player, for my type of abilities, who I am. So, yeah, just talking to the GM, and I think having them really back me and having that trust in me and say that they've kind of had me on their radar, over the last few years, and they wanted me early on in my career and stuff like that, I think, was super reassuring for me. And then, kind of to talk to the DC about the scheme and how they want me playing it. And, the year before it was Calais Campbell kind of playing that big end there, rotating inside on pass rush downs, things like that. And I know, I'm a pretty similar type of guy to Calais. I don't have that crazy speed off the edge, but I'm a big, long guy that, is a smart player that knows how to use leverage and use his length. And, I went there last year and, 7-8 months off an ACL, and I felt like I played a real decent year there. I put in some good work. So I was kind of happy with that decision.
Yeah, and, I think that's a good point. You start 14 games, and I think when I watch you play, and people who don't know the game, or I shouldn't say, it sounds like I'm like being condescending, but I just know that people will look at and say, okay, how many sacks a guy got? Well, that's not everything, and it's about pressures and do you make the quarterback move and all of that stuff and tackles for loss. And I thought they credited you with 4 tackles for loss, Adam, but I swear to God, it had to be more like 8.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough with how they, kind of give you some of the run stats in the NFL, and it's tight, especially in the trenches there. You feel like some of the assists, you're getting on piles, you help him bring the guy down, stops in the backfield, unless it's like a full yard that you tackle him. It's not a TFL kind of thing. Some of that stuff. So it's tough to get some stats, but it's also, again, what we were saying, the scheme that you're playing, last year in Jacksonville, I wasn't part of like the pass rush package that we had in. We got a room of 10 guys, so they want me in there stopping the run first, second down, getting us to passing situations and letting those guys that they're paying to rush the passer get us off the field. So, in that way, it's a team effort. And obviously you want a guy that can play all 3 downs, but, the way the scheme's set up also, we've got packages where, hey, we're going to put this package in regardless of whether you can rush the passer or not. We want our 3 outside backers there rushing, and sometimes that, can play effect into, what's happening out there on the field. So for me, they want me a base kind of guy playing 12 personnel, more of that stuff. So you look at what type of, and this is diving a bit deeper into the scheme of the game. 12 personnel, what are you getting? Probably play action pass. If they go empty 12 personnel, what are you getting? Probably quick game.
Yeah.
So you as a defensive end that's rushing, it's tough. You getting a double team or you getting the ball out in 2 seconds. You look at Big Ben, he's throwing the ball in under 2 seconds. You can run off the line free and you probably still don't get there,
Yeah.
So some of those, it's tough. And it's tough to, kind of critique a guy sometimes on, opportunities that he's not even having on the field. But, and that's on the play to make sure you're doing what you can in practice to get those opportunities on the field. So for me, I feel like being a rusher and stuff is something I'm definitely capable of being in this league. So, this offseason, I'm finally healthy. I've had the opportunity to work on that type of stuff. So I'm just looking forward to getting into camp and putting it out there.
All right, bro. Tough season in Jacksonville. Tough season in Jacksonville. Close a lot of times, can't close it. They come in and they blow up the building, right? And you're a free agent and you choose to go back.
Yep.
Why?
Yeah, again, man, I had the DC call me, a handful of times, and talking to him, listening to, his mentality, the mentality of the building, listening to him visualize me in that defense, really gave me that same thing, that trust, that confidence that, hey, I'm going to a place where I'm wanted. I'm going to a place where they see need for me and they see value in me. And then, again, coming off the injury, I think last year, going to that place and setting up, almost my routine pregame, knowing my way around the building, things like that. And then, the type of year I had, the type of guys that I had in the room with me, I loved the energy. I loved who we were. And then, just knowing that, we're adding some pieces, we're changing some things up. I'm excited, man. I think, nothing can get worse than last year in terms of the win-loss record. And, I think with some of the guys that we've added in free agency and things like that, and guys we're going to go after in the draft, it's going to be an exciting time, and, you look at the coaching stuff we're bringing in dudes from everywhere that have got it done. So, now it's going to be on us players to follow their lead and get it done ourselves.
Smart move, sign a 1-year deal, right? You get some guaranteed money, some upfront money, but you sign a 1-year deal. So you're betting on yourself. And then the big payday is going to come after this. All right. Now, fans, Mike is, I want you to start putting some questions up, Mike, for Adam. And then there's a little thing I do that I really enjoy. And now you got to be able to play. You got to play by the rules, though. All right. Okay. So Big Shows is from Wales. He says, obviously you're a proud Victorian. So New South Wales, surely bred her with the Maroons. Who the heck are the Maroons?
They're the Queensland rugby team, so a lot of the they're the old speedos, but I like the Maroons, man. If we're going a state of origin, definitely. You got the Vic boys up there helping them out. So
all right. See, now that was another thing I was going to ask you about. When I was down there, right?
Yeah,
it was state of origin time, right?
Yep.
And I have never seen anything like that. Like guys that play on the same club are good friends, and then state of origin comes, and because they're from a different state, they go out and beat the dog stew out of one another.
Yeah, man, those guys, when that time of year comes, you see some of Australia's best. You got guys playing for, their hometown and their city, and it's not just the team that's paying you at that point. You're representing where you're from, and in Australia, guys like to hold that over one another for another year. But some of those matches do get pretty full on. They be throwing the fists in there and getting after, and it's like, dude, this is crazy. Is this sport? Like, what is this? But it's awesome, man. I love watching it.
All right, Julio from Madrid, Spain says, Adam, what was it like for a rookie, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, to come into a locker room after Super Bowl 50?
Yeah, it was hard, man. I mean, you got the defense that's coming back, and there's so many vets on there, and they've just gone through this playoff run, got it done, played lights out kind of through the playoffs. You look at the quarterbacks they went through to get there, it's just like, damn, so you kind of got to come in and just be a sponge and try and soak it all in. And, I remember we had so many guys on the team that you learn stuff from. The whole no-fly was there. You've got DeMarcus Ware, Von Miller, D. Wolf, Sylvester Williams, Vance Walker, Todd Davis, a bunch of dudes, that have all just had this success. So you really just were a sponge just trying to soak it in. But again, man, you come in and the expectations are high. You got to either get to their speed or you're going to get left behind. And, it's tough because, again, this is the best defense that we're maybe saying ever to play the game. So, yeah, it was tough. But, we had some good rookies that we all kind of stood together and got through it all.
All right. Before we get to questions, we're going to start this. It's a word association game. I'm going to give you a name, and then you have one word and only one word that you can use. And I want it to be the first one that comes to your mind. All right?
I got you.
So I'm going to throw you a layup here, a softball with the first one. He's a legendary Australian, Rod the Rocket Laver. Tennis. He is tennis. All right. Darren Bennett.
Sports Center? Is that the Sports Center guy? No.
Now, see, this is how young you are, dude.
You gotta know.
Darren Bennett was probably about 8-time Pro Bowler for the San Diego Chargers as a punter. And honest to God, he was the first Australian guy. And Adam, I swear to God, he came to NFL Europe before he made it with the Chargers. He came over, and it's the first time I had ever seen players, like every down players, walk out of the locker room prior to the game to watch a punter kick the ball. And I mean, he hit the ball, and it looked like a pea. He hit it so high, and the guy was phenomenal.
It's crazy, man. And speaking on that state tournament that we played in that you were down there at, the punter that we had on our team, Jordan Berry, he was with the Steelers for like 6 years, man, punting with them. And I think he was back there this year. So, shout out to Jordan as well. And it's just crazy. He probably had the same conversation and, sparked some things in his mind. But he kicks the ball just like, those dudes. When it's an Aussie out there punting the ball,
you know it.
It's something different to watch. It just looks different, and the ball goes, disappears.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, when Darren Bennett would hit the ball, it sounded like somebody hit it with a baseball bat. Yeah. I mean, it was like different sound. All right, Shane Warne,
cricket.
And have you ever met that guy? Like, that guy is
but is a legend, man.
Absolute legend. He's like Joe Namath of cricket.
Exactly, man. I'd love to meet him. I watch his highlights on YouTube all the time, man. That's part of, when I go home and I go to the beach, we play backyard cricket, and it's all imitating Shane Warne. So it's awesome.
All right, Derek Wolfe.
Tough.
Gardner Minshew.
Legend.
Yeah. All right, unpack that one. Yeah. What do you mean legend? How?
I remember, I think it was my first morning down there in Jacksonville. I'm sitting in the cafeteria, and he grabs some food for breakfast, and he comes and sits down next to me, and we just start talking, man. And he was literally like, the first conversation was just like, tell me about yourself, where you're from, what are you into, man? Like, it's awesome to have you here and want to get to know you. And we literally sat there for 30 odd minutes eating breakfast, just talking and shooting the shit a bit. And then you just see the way he carries himself. He's a heart on the sleeve type of guy, leave it all out there, loves the game, loves his brothers. And I mean, regardless of what happened last year, he got injured, banged up, he fought back, came back and wanted to finish the thing out with the team. And, I got my hats off, respects, because once you're in that last spot and you got that first pick, that's a hard spot to be in for him. And, for him to show up every day and just work like nothing's different, that just shows the type of guy he is, how professional he is. And, he's going to have a ton of success in the league because he carries himself like that. So he's an absolute legend. Plus his haircut / can't beat it.
All right. Paul Posluszny.
Ooh. Strength, freaking room beast, Yeah, man. You go in the weight room there, and there's I think the Paul Posluszny Award is freaking based on him because he was just a weight room animal in there, just killing it. So, that's kind of the mentality going into that weight room is based on him.
Okay, all right. Joe Cullen.
It's hard, man. I've met him a couple of times, but I'd say, I'm trying to think of the word. Smart.
Okay. Now,
just we want to be there, man.
Fans who may not know, all right, Joe Cullen is the new defensive coordinator in Jacksonville, and he's a D-line guy, which I think is really good for you because a D-line guy understands, right? Yeah. Sometimes when you get a coordinator who's a back-end guy or linebacker guy, they just look at those big guys and say, hey, yeah. But I think that's going to be interesting to see how it works out for you guys and how he'll utilize you in that scheme.
Definitely.
Urban Meyer.
Vision. Yeah, man. I mean, I think about Urban and, I've had a couple of conversations with him now, but, you can just see that this guy's 10 steps ahead of where he's talking to us. And it's like he's already walked the path that we need to all walk. So he's explaining to us what we need to do to get there. And I mean, this guy's been a winner everywhere he's gone. So, I'm all ears. I'm listening.
Explain, and I want you to tell, if you can remember, when we were talking the other day and we were talking about Urban, and you mentioned about how his approach is and, what the formula is going to be in Jacksonville.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, just talking to him, you can see he's put the blueprint in. And what the thing is he's given the strength stuff, all the resources they've need, whatever they ask, whatever they think is going to help us, and whatever he feels is going to help us, he's putting it into the strength stuff. Nutrition, the same thing, blowing it all up. The training room, same thing. He wants guys wanting to be part of the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, be down there training, creating this team atmosphere, this winning atmosphere inside the building, And I think the type of guys he's bringing in are the guys that are going to help elevate this team to the next level, from the staff to everything. And I think, his whole mentality is like this +2 mentality, which is, for an example, if the drill A to B, 10 yards, he wants us going 12, and he wants that mentality through every department in, front office, everywhere. And, he wants everyone to have that collective goal of that's the mentality we have to carry to be successful. So, if we're not doing +2 in the training room and +2 in the nutrition department and +2 in all that stuff, it doesn't matter that we're doing the +2 on the field, So all those things tie in together, and I think I'm just really excited to be part of, kind of that atmosphere where, it's not everyone's doing their own thing. Then we come together in August. We've got 3 weeks to figure out our identity as a team and then play 17 games. That's tough. That's tough to do. So, hopefully this offseason, he's kind of set the standard of what he wants our mentality to be, who we are, our identity. And, it's on the guys to take that responsibility and get to that point.
Michael, give me some more questions for the big fella before we call it a column. From Cork, Ireland, says, in 2017 and 18, there was tension between Broncos offense and defense. What was the locker room like?
Yeah, it was tough, man. It was tough. And, it was tension. But at the end of the day, everyone wanted success. It wasn't like the defense is over there bashing the offense is bashing the defense, things like that. Everyone wanted to still win, and everyone's trying to figure out what the formula is. And at the end of the day, the defense has to look at us and what we can do to help the team. We can't go over there and play offense and do that shit. We have to trust in them, make sure we're giving them the best looks at practice, scout team cards, all the things right that they need to get going. And same with the defense. We weren't playing perfect either, but at times we needed to do more. We need to get turnovers. We need to get sacks, things like that can help the offense. If the offense might be slow getting started, it's on the defense to create a momentum swing, to put them in a position to get some easy points maybe. So as much as there's tension, it's guys looking inward before looking outward to fix the problem. And I think, with some of that tension was more like we're in a Super Bowl 2 years ago. Now we're struggling to win 6 games. What's going on? And I think some of that tension was Super Bowl hangover stuff. Some of the tension was, are we bringing in the right guys? Some of the tension is, are we playing as good as we can be? So, there's so many different factors that play into it. But you as a player, you as a coach, you just have to look inward and say, am I doing everything I can to help this ship, to help get to where we need to be? And I think, that's sometimes tough to do. And, it's a tough pill to swallow for some guys that have had success and some guys that haven't, how to figure that out. So, at that time, it's kind of, you need good leaders, good coaches to fix the culture and fix whatever's happening within the team.
Great point. And I tell you what, that's going to help you guys in Jacksonville as you develop your own culture in Jacksonville. Mikey, give me another one. What do you got here? All right, this is from Fred Flunk. He is from Ireland. Again, you're leading the league in Ireland, guys, here today. Adam, how hard was it to come back from your ACL injury, mentally or physically? Which was harder?
Man, it was tough. That was my first major injury coming out of college, and it was kind of at the point where everything was going right for me. I was in the best physical shape. I was playing my best ball, so I got injured. But, fortunately for me, what we were talking about earlier was I had, that mental kind of place in my head where I knew I'd done everything that I could to that point. Injuries are going to happen. But it was tough kind of responding from that. The first few months of going through the rehab was pretty good. And then, kind of once I got, into the NFL and in that Broncos locker room, it was like shit's moving quick. We're this NFL team. We're going back to the Super Bowl. You can't afford to be hurt. We need you out there on the field playing. And it just kind of threw that mental side off, and that threw the physical side off. I think, a big important part of when you're coming back from an injury is to remain strong mentally at all times. And then even post-injury, remaining strong mentally, because there's going to be adversity down the track still that lingers from that injury. So, the second time injuring my ACL 2 years ago, I made sure, mentally, I stayed in a good place. And honestly, now physically, I'm better than I ever was in the last 5 years. So I think that mental play, losing that mentally first, kind of hurt the physical. So, it was tough on both ends for me, I'd say.
All right. We got time for one more. So, Mike, give me one more for Adam. All right. This is Mike Grimes. Mike is from the UK. He says, what do the Jags need to do to improve next season, and how will the draft help?
Yeah, I think definitely, some things that we need to improve is just, the mentality, attacking every day, taking advantage of our opportunities. And, I think that correlates even into the games last year. We were in some games with some teams that ended up playing playoffs, and we lost by 3. So it's, executing throughout the games, making sure we're all bought into what we're doing, and then, going after guys in the draft that are going to help this team. We've gone after a couple in free agency, but, some of the pieces that we can bring in through the draft, everyone's going to be important this year. It's going to take all of us, whether you're playing 10 snaps, 1 snap, 100 snaps, it's everyone. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. We've got some good coaches and we've got some good players coming in. So,
well, I got to tell you, this has been an absolute blast for me. And I tell you make me feel old, though, dude, because to think that you were 16 years old when I saw you for the first time and talked to you for the first time. And then we were talking the other day, and I hear babies in the background. You got 2 children of your own now.
Dude,
man, oh, man, oh, man.
That's crazy.
We have an unbelievable amount of support for Jacksonville in London. As you know, you're going to have an opportunity to go over there and play. What would you say to the Jags UK organization about what's going on in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I just want to say, it's been disappointing the last, couple of years on some of the results that we've had, but, I appreciate all you guys staying loyal, staying, big fans of us and what we're doing down here. And, we've got some exciting times ahead. And I think, the goal is in the next 5 years, we're going to be where we want to be. We're hoping this year's, the year, but, we know it takes time and we got guys to develop, but, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the support, and, we can't get back out. We can't wait to get back out there and play in front of you all and show you, how much we've improved. So, we're excited, and it's going to be a hell of a year to be a Jags fan. Well,
listen, man, if you're ever heading back to Australia, I know that flight's got to stop in Hawaii.
That's it. I'm stopping, man.
Bring your children, bring your gal, and we got plenty of room, and it'd be awesome to spend some time with you. Proud of you and fired up for you. And again, I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us.
I appreciate you, Coach. Thank you again, man. And I got another thing. Jesse Williams hit me up, said to say,
tell him I said hello.
Yeah, I will. I'll pass on a big hello. He hit me up, said he saw I was going to be on here, said to say what's up. So I'll pass that along. But I appreciate you, Coach. I appreciate everything over the years, the support, man. It's been awesome to watch your journey as well and what you're doing for the sport, helping it grow, internationally, and, helping out with this channel as well and getting guys and letting them talk some football, talk their story a little. And, man, I appreciate it, Coach.
All right. Take care, my brother. Love you. Take care. See you.
Peace.
What a great guy. I'm going to tell you something, man. He's been through some stuff now, and a great journey. Mike, what a show. Man, oh, man, oh, man.
Man, for me, Adam Gotsis, I'm obviously biased. I'm obviously a big Broncos fan, but for me, he might as well have been from the UK, Europe when he played for us. Great guy.
Great guy.
I wish him all the best.
And it's funny because when we had Dylan Reisner on, Adam reached out and he talked about what a great teammate Dylan was in Denver. And when you get guys like that, right, and who fought through some of the stuff that he's fought through, and they're going to be all right in Jacksonville. I'm going to tell you, they're going to be all right with it. You get enough of those kind of guys, you're going to be okay. Well, that's 42 of them in the bank, brother. 42. And
42 episodes, Jeff. 42. Yeah. It's hard to believe, and it's hard to believe now. We are 4 weeks on Thursday away from the first round of the draft. I can't wait. It almost feels like the season started today with that big international news, and now obviously the build up to the draft. You get Spencer breaking down the board. It's a really good show. Adam's a great guest, and looking forward to seeing obviously non-Periscope next week. Can't wait to see what you're going to come up with, Jeff, to get people involved. But yeah, great show as always, man. Great show.
And for the fans who called in and tweeted in and checked in, really appreciate you. This is your show. I don't know who it's going to be, but we'll have great guests again next week, and appreciate you. Aloha, and we'll see you next week on Coffee with Coach.